Hello guys, so there is a small mistake we made here, although it didn't have any effect, so you didn't notice. But do you see this sentence here? Done, saved successfully. This sentence, we should not put it here, okay? Because the actual process of saving, the actual process of writing to a file is actually being done here. You get my point? So it means only after we have finished this line and this line, after these lines have finished executing, and after we have successfully closed that file, that is when we are sure that the data has been saved, you see. So it means at that particular moment is when we can now display done, saved successfully. Okay, so it means this sentence is actually supposed to be displayed after these lines have been executed. You see, after we have already written to that file is when we should say we should display on the screen that done, saved. We can even say saved successfully. Okay, yeah, so this sentence should have been here instead of there. Okay, so yeah, that should also work fine. Now I want us to discuss a few ideas here. Do you remember this question here? You can pause the video to read it. Okay, that the question about examination officer. Okay, yeah, you remember we had created that program before, you see. Yeah, so for example, now that you have the knowledge of regular expression, let's say you want to verify that the course code that the user is entering is following a correct format. Okay, so how can you verify? So for example, what you can do, it means here you're going to use regex, and you're also going to include the string library. Okay, you're going to say hash include string. Okay, and then inside here somewhere you're going to declare a pattern. Okay, you're going to say regex. Okay, you're going to declare, let's say, a pattern, and then you're going to say it's going to have up to 2 capital letters, and let's say up to 3 digits. Okay, up to 3 digits, for example. Okay, yeah, and then okay, maybe if you're not satisfied with this pattern, maybe you can see how to improve it, but for now I think it's not too bad. Okay, I think it's okay. So what you can do, you can say that if the user enters a pattern which is not corresponding to the kind of pattern we expect, we can just tell him to enter again until he finally enters a course code that follows our pattern. Okay, so what you can do here, you can say here do. Okay, do, you want to do this, you see, you want to do this, you want to do this, and you want to keep doing that whenever the user enters something which does not match with our pattern. Are we together? So whenever the regex does not match, okay, you see, so you say here that whenever what the user entered at this position does not match with our pattern, whenever what the user entered does not match. So I am using this logical not operator. Okay, this logical not operator to say not. Okay, whenever the user has entered something at this position which does not, you see, that is the work of this negation here, which does not match with this pattern, then you want to allow him to try again. You see, yeah, something like that. All right, and then here, yeah, whenever he enters, you save that. Okay, but this will work if your pattern has no space. You see, if you're expecting the user not to enter anything that has a space, what if the user is entering something that has a space? So in that case, it means you want to do this. You want to do this. You want to do this, and you are saving it there. You are saving it there. Something like that. Okay, so that should work fine. You see, yeah, and our pattern here has no space, so it means, yeah, but sometimes the user can enter with a space, right? So you want to read the whole thing, and then you're going to compare it with your pattern, and then if it does not match, yeah, something like that. So there is one thing: if you try to run this program the way it is now, you will get an error. you may try, you will get an error. And the error is because here you are calling getLine, but somewhere above you had called cin. So if you do that, there is a way they can confuse each other. Okay? Yeah. So you have several options to solve that kind of problem, but I will just show you one which you will probably quickly understand for now. Okay? So in order to counter that situation, what you can do, you can store the number of causes. You see the number of causes here. You can store them as a string first. Okay? So you can say num causes string, maybe. You see? You can say maybe num causes string, maybe something like that. Okay? So what you can do, you can say I'm going to, so instead of using cin in order to prevent that problem, try to use getLine as well. Okay? So that they don't confuse each other. You get my point? Yeah. If you want, you can try it. You will see that you will get an error. Okay? So to counter that, use getLine here on top as well. Okay? There are several other options you could use to counter that, but let me just show you this one. I think you will quickly understand this one more than the other one. Okay? And then you're going to save it here. You're going to save it there. You see? And then once you do that, you can now try to convert this one back to integer. Okay? So you can now say num causes should be story this one here, this one here. Yeah. So by so doing, you will have solved the issue. Okay. Yeah. You will have solved the issue. All right. So let us test this to see if it is working great. All right. So let's see here. Expect a semicolon before. Yeah. So let me see here. Yeah. So there is a semicolon here at line number 19. We forgot to put it. Okay. Okay. So let me run that. You see, so enter number of causes, let's say 2. You see, enter cause code for cause 1. So if I enter a cause code, let's say with a space, you see, it tells me again enter cause code for cause 1. Can you see? Until I get a correct pattern, that is when it moves to another cause. Now it tells me enter cause code for cause 2. You see? Yeah. So if I make a mistake, maybe I put only a single one here, and then I put maybe just this, and then this maybe. You see? It tells me again enter focus 2. You see? If I make I put small letter, and then here I put this, you see, it will, you see, and so on until when I get it right. You see, until when I get it right, that is when it moves forward. Okay? Yeah. All right. So again, you can see on how you can improve this one to use the idea of files. You get my point? Because the way it is working right now, it was telling the examination officer to enter the marks of students in each course. You get my point? Now imagine, let's say you have 10 courses in a particular faculty, and the examination officer will have to enter the marks of students for each course. Let's say one course has 800 students, another course has 500 students, another course has 300 students. I think that program will be very boring. The user will be interacting with the program, entering marks one by one. He finishes one course, he goes to another course, entering marks one by one. He finishes. That is too much. So it is better that you improve it, okay, to use files. So what can you do? You can tell every teacher to put the marks of his or her course into a file. So let's say the teacher of ch300.txt can put the marks into his file. The teacher of ch364.txt can put the marks into his or her file. The teacher of ph127 will also put the marks into his file. And then once all the teachers have put the marks into their files, every teacher will go to the examination officer and give him the file. You get my point? So the examination officer can create a folder anywhere, maybe let's say on the desktop. You see, he can come and create a folder here. You see, he can call his folder causes, maybe causes results. Okay, causes results, you see. And then once he or she has done that, he can take every file and put it into that folder, you see. Another file, put it into that folder, you see. Another file, put it into that folder, you see. Thereafter, your program can just prompt the examination officer to enter the name of the folder where those files are. You get my point? The examination officer will just specify the path of the folder which contains those files. Once that is done, your program now will go to read the marks from those files. You get my point? So your program should have the ability to list all the files in that folder that the examination officer has specified. And then once your program should have the ability to use a loop to loop through every file inside that folder that the examination officer has specified. And then thereafter, as you loop from each file one at a time, you are reading the marks from each file and you're calculating the average, you are calculating how many people got below the average and everything. And then at the end, you display all those results into a file. You write all those results into a file, and then once that is done, you give feedback to the examination officer that the results are in so file. Okay, I think if we can improve it in that way, this program will be much better than before. And actually, it can be done. Okay, it can be done. Okay, so you can take it as a challenge. Even during the holiday, you can try to do it, or anytime you can give it a try. Okay, and I will be glad to help. If you will encounter any issues, I will be glad to help. Okay, but it is totally doable. It is totally doable. Thank you for listening. All the best.